Put the powder in the glass. Pour an alcoholic beverage of your choice. I prefer whiskey. I also like to add a little bit of hot dog water to mine. That's just personal. Just find a nice sedentary position. Relax. And stay there. Couch body.
Hey everybody, welcome to Lunch Therapy. This is your break from the crap that's going on in the world, all kinds of crazy shit happening. In here, we're just giving our nervous system a break. I got a great guest today for Interview Friday. His name is Brenton Biddlecombe. Boy, it's a great name. I love it. He's a veteran comedian, even though he's like young as all get out. He's like a regular at the Improv and the Comedy Store and all over town. He's toured up and down the West Coast. He's a headliner. He's somebody who's been really grinding the old comedy acts for a while now. So I'm really, really excited to have him on the show. I saw him at the Roosevelt Hotel here in Los Angeles in one of the Jimmy Shin Shindig shows. Ginny Sykes was in it, Jimmy Shin, a lot of other great performers, and Brenton Biddlecombe, who he's hilarious. So you're going to enjoy him. But first, we're going to breathe. On this show, we always breathe. Take in 3 deep breaths at the beginning of the show. In through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. I have a little musical performance here before we get to the interview also. Not me, I'm not going to be performing music, but maybe next time, huh? Maybe next time. I haven't done that in a while. In through the nose, out through the toes. Get that oxygen in your lungs. You're going to need it. We got a contest today as well. Let it go. Alexander. Hi, Alexander. If you have any questions for Brenton as the show progresses, please do them in the chat room. I'm getting blurry as all get out. In through the nose, out through the toes. I think it's all that oxygen. Hold it. Oxygen helped, actually. Let it go. All right. I'm going to soothe your musical nerves here with some acoustic guitar all the way from Arkansas. This is Trace Bundy. Wow, look at that. He almost bit I could feel that on the back of my neck. I could feel that. Seal. Yeah, I think that's a seal. All right, here's Trace Bundy. He's out there in Arkansas jamming on the guitar. Thanks so much, Trace, for sharing this with us today. Dance him if you got him. This guy's awesome. Milo needs therapy. Trace has a YouTube channel, Trace Bundy. All right. So here I am in Bangkok. I just took a quick jaunt over there. We are, just to remind you, we're going to be getting reports from Jeff Lohman on the road in Thailand for the rest of the month. So we got some great reports coming up. Yeah, that was beautiful. Thank you so much, Trace Bundy. Bravo. All right, let's get into this. We're going to have Brenton on the show soon. He's going to be live, so you can interact with him. Let's do this thing, Interview Friday.
I love this guy to death. You will too. Please welcome Mr. Brenton Biddlecombe.
Thank you. Hi guys, my name's Brenton. I don't like my face. Right, I got this lesbian Jimmy Neutron thing going on. It's not good. And I'm a short guy. And let me tell you something. It's not fun being a short guy in 2019 because we are literally the last group of people you can just openly make fun of and nobody cares. No one cares. Like, you can't say anything about anybody. They'll find you. They'll find you on Twitter. They'll get you fired. They'll end your life. Unless it's about short guys, they'll retweet it, make a fun hashtag. Like, it's great that all these movements happened. Me Too needed to happen, ladies. There were a lot of garbage men in power positions. They took advantage of you for way too long. Bring them down. But what nobody's talking about is how women have been equally psychologically evil to short men for centuries. And if you don't believe me, as an experiment right now, pull out your phone. Download any dating app. Pretend to be a short guy. Strap the fuck in. You women are ruthless. Every profile, same thing. Hey, if you're under 6 feet, just swipe left. I don't want to talk to you. That's gross. You're not even real people. You remind me of my little brother. It's adorable. Don't waste my time. I'm not going to waste yours. And I got news for you, ladies. At some point, you're going to have to settle. Not everybody gets to have kids or grow up to play in the NBA. Somebody's got to be in the marching band. That's where short guy genes come in. I played trombone for 4 years. You know what that means? I have a very strong tongue, plus I'm low to the ground. I'm more likely to go down on you. That's just basic physics. But nobody's out there marching for us. There's no hashtag heels off. I'm on my own.
All right. Hashtag heels off. Here we are with Brenton Biddlecombe. Hey, how's it going?
Joel, what's going on, man?
It's great to have you on the show.
I'm going to try to match your vibe. That intro with the ocean, we're underwater, and then you're doing deep breaths and the acoustic guitar, man. I didn't take enough ayahuasca this morning. I think
it's okay. We'll bring you. We'll bring you along.
Vibe, dude.
We can totally bring you along, man. It's no problem here. That's what we do here. We get people into a state of an alpha state, as it were. Do you meditate or do anything crazy like that?
You know, I did for a little bit because I work for All Things Comedy. I don't know if you're familiar with Bill Barry Al Madrigal's company.
Yeah.
So Al is very much into meditating. So he got the whole team to do this like 30-day meditation program where you're seeking abundance in your life. And I started doing it. And, at first it was like, oh, this is kind of weird. But then all these opportunities just started. It's the weirdest thing. Like my mindset changed and I just had all these opportunities got put in front of me and it seemed like it was working and I seemed like I was more relaxed. I'm a pretty wound up guy most of the time because I'm always working. And dude, I would recommend it to anybody.
Well, how come you're not doing it? Did you get tired of it or did you just, is it just discipline?
I did the 30-day program and it worked and I got the opportunities that I wanted and I'm doing those things now.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So that, you're very prolific. You're a very prolific.
It was the Deepak Chopra Oprah thing.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, good call, Kamala. Yeah, I love those. Actually, those Deepak Chopra and Oprah Chopra meditations. They're super cool. Abundance. They give like a little speech beforehand, and then you do this guided meditation. And it's true. Things come to you.
It was the weirdest thing because I was in like a transitional period, and then within a week, like I had 3 different opportunities reach out. Like, we want you to work for us. We want to work with you. We want to do these
Wow,
things with you, and it was crazy.
that's super cool. What about all things comedy? Can you tell us more about that because that's super interesting.
Yeah, so I've started with them in 2014. They were founded several years before. It was Bill and Al just had this idea. They both had podcasts, and this was when podcasts were just kind of starting to take off. And they had all these agencies and advertisers coming to them, and they wanted to be a part of it. They wanted to take a piece, and so they had this idea like, we don't need these guys to do this. We don't need middlemen. Let's just have a network that's by comics for comics, and the content goes straight to the fans. And it started as this little tiny thing with about 10 podcasts or so. And it's now grown in the last few years, especially. Like, we've sold television shows, we've shot several comedy specials. Bill Burr wrote and directed a movie that we produced, and we're nominated for 2 Emmys this year. And I mean, when I
Whoa,
started, yeah, we were working out of like this broom closet at Raleigh's studio recording podcasts, and now we're full on a production company.
that is awesome. That's like the dream come true. What do you think the key to that is? Was it because he brought in a lot of different comics and had a lot of different shows on the thing? Was it
There
because
there
Bill
were a
Burr's so
lot of
famous? What's the
yeah,
what's the
really
secret?
well. Bill's a big driving force, but Al
Yeah.
behind the scenes, Al's a genius. The guy knows how to run the business, and he got the right people in place. Like Mike Bertolini is the CEO, and he, you know, the guy just knows how to sell stuff. He knows how to package stuff, and there are just a lot of talented people that signed on the network and helped get the word out. And I believe right now we're the number one most downloaded comedy podcast network in the world.
Whoa. And do they pitch when they pitch shows? How do they go about pitching shows to these, Netflix or whatever? What's their strategy for that? Do you know?
Um, yeah, they have. I mean, we have a really good development team that puts together the deck with the artist, and obviously between Bill and Al, they know everybody at every studio,
Mhm.
and it helps when you have Bill Burr sit in the room and say, "I like this. You should get behind it."
Yeah.
But they know what they're doing. They put together the decks. The people that are they're very selective with who they take. So the people that they select are very talented people, and they have good ideas, original ideas. And we've been very fortunate to have as many things as we have picked up, and a few more things should be out this year, including Bill's movie.
And when you say a deck, can you describe to our viewers what a deck is?
So you have a script, you write the script's great, but when you present it, you need to have something that isn't going to take 6 hours to read through. And it's basically the bullet points. It's like a PowerPoint presentation almost of, these are the highlights of the series. This is what the pilot's going to be like. This is the arc of the story, and this is how it's going to end. And basically, you show the best parts to get the studio as interested as possible to go, yeah, we'll give you the money and let's start making it.
And what happens? Do you email this thing or do you walk in with like an iPad or how do they usually present it?
Usually with an iPad, and
Yeah.
it'll be on like a screen.
Okay. Well, that's cool. That's super cool. I know a lot of people are interested in that. Another thing I'm really interested in is your trajectory as a comedian, because you're obviously very skilled, but you're obviously somebody who works really hard at it, um, and puts in the time. You put in the time. I mean, and you came out here from Michigan, kind of cold. Is that right? Can you
Yeah.
tell us about that?
Well, it wasn't really. I wasn't really cold. I had been doing it 3 years before I came out, and
Hmm.
I actually. The reason why I came out to LA, because I was deciding between New York and Los Angeles, was I
Hmm.
won a contest in Michigan, and the prize was to go to the Comedy Store for a week and perform. And
In
the
Hollywood.
manager at this,
Yeah.
yeah, the manager at this club in Michigan knew somebody at the Comedy Store. They set it up, and I think I was 21 or so when I won it, or just was just about to turn 21, and I came out, and I did my first show in the Belly Room the little room upstairs at
Oh,
the
yeah.
store.
Yeah.
And I looked like a child. Like I'm 34 and I know I look like a baby now. I was a child then. And so Bobby Lee comes into the green room and he
Yeah.
looks at me and he goes, "When's the kid going on? I want to watch the kid perform."
Yeah.
And I went up, I had a good set. I heard him laughing. I get off stage and he goes, "Hey, let's go get dinner." Takes me down to Greenblatt's and he goes, "Dude,
Greenblatt's. Wow.
what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
let's get you a commercial agent. Whatever you're doing in the Midwest, get out of there, move out here, get your life started. Like this is what you should be doing." And he really encouraged me, and he convinced my parents like it was a good idea to drop out of school. And 6 months later, I was in LA.
That is nice. So you really took the advice too. You didn't just go, I mean, apparently you had 14 credits left at school or something like that. You didn't even go back and do that.
Yeah, I had 16 credit hours and an internship, and I would have been a journalist.
Wow.
So, my parents weren't thrilled about that, dropping out right before, but it was like, this is what I want to do. Why am I wasting my time?
Has Bobby Lee been a mentor to you since then?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's been wonderful. Really good influence in my life.
Tell us about him a little bit. Is he what is his function? What does he do? How what's his trajectory?
Well, he's somebody, I mean, when I met him, I knew him from Mad TV, obviously, and he was always working on smaller shows, but he's
Yeah.
somebody that really got into podcasting early on, and he created Tiger Belly, which
Mhm.
is also on All Things Comedy, and that's one of the biggest shows now in the world. And then he spun that off into Bad Friends with Andrew Santino. So, I mean, he's still acting like crazy. You can see him on every other show on TV, but his
Yeah.
podcasts, he's become one of the biggest podcasters on the planet. And we just did a live Tiger Belly downtown LA. He sold out the Ace Theater, and I think he's going to start doing more of those. And at some point, I mean, he's so insecure about recording a special, but at some point, ATC is going to get him to record an hour special because I know that's what
Yeah.
people want to see because
Yeah.
he's such a funny comic and he's just never
He's
put anything out.
hilarious. Wow. What about you? Are you thinking that you're going to be doing some acting as well? Like, what is your trajectory as far as where you want to go with this thing?
I just want to work, man. I just want to perform. The acting would be fun, I'm sure. I've gone to auditions. I'm not a trained actor by any means, and I've probably bombed more than a few of them. I think the first audition I ever did was Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
And I was so bad, I think I apologized at the end. So somewhere, if they save those tapes, there's an audition of a 22-year-old boy apologizing for messing up
I
his
would
Pizza
love
Hut
to
read.
see that as a sketch,
But
where you're like, sorry.
It was bad. And I was definitely auditioning for things a lot more when I first got out here.
Yeah.
I've really cooled off on it. Like if someone calls and says, "Hey, we think you'd be good for this, read for it," I'll do it. But I got to open for Bill Burr one time, and he gave me some advice where he was like, look at me. Like I'm a pasty redhead. Like no one wanted to touch me in Hollywood. And so I decided I'm going to focus on my stand-up. And who's the guy that I emulated is Chris Rock. And Chris Rock, he goes, watch this movie, watch that. He's looking at the camera. He's a terrible actor, but they put him in everything.
Yeah.
Right. And he's like, why do they do that? And he goes, because he is undeniably the best stand-up comic. So show business is like, we have to work with this guy because he's just so good at comedy. People love him. We want to put him in our stuff. So he's like, I just focused on my stand-up, and all of a sudden they just started putting me on TV.
It's great advice. How did you, when you came out here from Michigan after Bobby Lee told you, you got to get your ass out here, how did you start developing your skills and getting stage time?
I got a door job at the Comedy Store, and I started cutting my teeth there. And that's where it really, that original room, doing those late night spots, that's where I really started to find my voice. And, it's a special room. Yeah. It's called The Workshop for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And
I love that
I
room.
bombed there. Yeah, I bombed there 10,000 times.
It was originally created just for women, wasn't it? The Belly Room?
The Belly Room was.
Yeah.
The original room was
the
first showroom that they were kind of renting from Ciro's. And then when Mitzi got to control the whole property. She had the main room, the original room, and then the belly room, which when it was Ciro's, that was the belly dancer room.
It was? Oh my God. There's
Yeah.
all kinds of crazy stories about that we won't get into. But yeah, when it was Ciro's, there's, the ghosts and all these crazy things that went on there.
Gangsters, man. A lot
Yeah.
of people have been killed there.
Yeah. Well, apparently, I don't know. I mean, the lore even says that in the belly room, they were performing abortions. And there are some,
Oh yeah.
some of the
Well,
girls
in the
died.
basement. So there's
it's
a
in the
ghost in
basement?
the basement supposedly that was conducting those.
Wow. Yeah. So you're saying you performed in the original room. That was where you really kind of found your voice and you fell and bombed a lot. How were you getting stage time? Was there somebody, was Mitzi still there? And was she, did she take to you?
No, she was already much older, and she had been battling Parkinson's for a while, so she wasn't in there. But there were talent coordinators, and then just the other comics. I mean, the cool thing about Hollywood versus and New York is the same way versus basically any other city is you get one or two headliners that come in and work the rooms on the weekend, and you can see them then and interact with them then. But in Hollywood, it's like you go to any one of the clubs and you're going to be with 10 legends every night.
Yeah.
And they're going to see you, they're going to give you advice, they're going to be cool, and you can learn a lot just by watching them. So it was really like I dropped out of college, but then I went to school for stand-up, spending my early 20s there.
Well, I think that's a lot of times too. The thing that you didn't fall into is sometimes people go to college and they think they've done their education, and now they're just like, "Where's my job?" And it's like it's only begun. It's only begun.
Oh yeah,
it's the very
especially
beginning.
in this business.
Yeah, especially in this business, it's true. So, so did you become a regular at some point, or how does that work? Can you tell us something about that?
Yeah, I got passed in 2013. So after about 3.5 years of working there.
And was that like you were working as a doorman, and then you would just go up on stage, like they put you up on stage at the end of a show or something like that?
Yeah. But at that point, I had taken over their social media. So I was doing that. And then I was answering the phones during the day. So if you called between like 2012 and 2015, I was the guy answering the phone.
Wow, you really put in your time, man. And you still do some social media, right? I mean, is that what you do for All Things Comedy?
Yeah, that's what I do for ATC, and now I do it for the Improv. Like I kind of found a knack, and it's a hell of a day job to have because I still, I'm working, but I'm working in comedy, and it's opened so many doors for me, and I pay my mortgage just tweeting all day.
So great. Are you just like Donald Trump? So
basically,
are you? So your work at the Improv and also the Comedy Store and All Things Comedy have things changed? Because it used to be like if you either worked at the Improv or you worked at the Comedy Store, people get pissed if you do either one. There was like a time where it was not okay, but now has that been lifted?
Well, I left the Comedy Store in 2019, and I started with the Improv last November. I don't think there's that. It used to be Bud and Mitzi, Bud Friedman, the founder of the Improv, and Mitzi Shore, the founder of the Comedy Store. They were definitely rivals, and they didn't want you working the other's club. And Bud started paying his comedians, and Mitzi wasn't at that time, but she said, I'm giving you the exposure because, the truth was you could be seen at the Comedy Store, be on the Tonight Show the next day and become famous overnight. So she was paying you an exposure. He started giving comics money. Several comics started protesting. People crossed picket lines. People were banned from one spot or the other. So there was definitely that rivalry. But now, if you're a really good comic, if you're famous and you're working, you can do all three rooms, Laugh Factory, Store, and the Improv in the same night, and no one bats an eye. So it's definitely different than it was, 30, 40 years ago.
Let's move into the Space Lounge here. I wanted to ask you about that. So one of the things that I notice about your comedy is it's undeniably funny. It's undeniably well done. And I think that that's the thing, like you say. If you're good, a lot of these things that people complain about don't apply to you because you're bringing the comedy. What is your what is your discipline as far as writing? What is your process for writing jokes and trying them out and doing all that stuff?
Well, I grew up obsessed with Mitch Hedberg, and I heard he always had like a tape recorder or he always had a pen and paper. So I always have something on me to write. Um, and, I try to write every day. I try to spend a few hours every day at least doing it. Like there's a great Jerry Seinfeld interview where he talks about he was starting out and he would write for a little bit and then he would get bored or he'd get distracted and then he would go outside for a walk and he'd see these guys working construction 9 to 5 and just working their butts off and they probably hated it and they were miserable. And he's like, well, I'm doing what I love. If they can do that for 8 hours a day, why am I not doing this full time? And just kind of shift your focus and go, I need to do this. And
Yes.
the more I do it, the better it's going to get. And the better it gets, the more fun I'm going to have doing it. And the
not be
payoff,
such take it as a job. That's one of the things I liked about, and maybe you got this from Michigan, growing up in Michigan. When I was in Chicago, I was acting with Steppenwolf Theater and the people there were very blue collar about their acting. Like they were just like, this is a job, just like anybody else's job. And I work at this job and it's no nonsense. And I think that'll get you a lot farther than, people that have this like dilettante attitude that they're like somehow ordained to be an actor or a comedian. You got to, put in the work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you tell me.
Especially in this day and age, man, there's just so many of us. You have to be authentic.
You have to be authentic.
Like, there's a lot of things that comics can do where they're gimmicks on stage and you can cheat and you can cut corners, but eventually the audience is going to realize that it's all just kind of an act. And if you're not authentic, then, you're not going to succeed. You're not going to keep moving up. You're not going to build your fan base. And the only way to be authentic is to put into work. You gotta find your voice. It's going to take a long time and you got to write, you got to work through a lot of stuff and you got to fail constantly.
You got to fail constantly. I want to play another clip from that stand-up that we showed in the beginning, if that's okay. This is the one. Yeah. I won't set it up really, but it's sort of an example of this, what you're talking about. Here we go.
Like, I screwed up our first Valentine's Day. She didn't leave. And she should have. It was way too early. It was like 3 months in. Valentine's Day was coming up. I was falling in love with her. I wanted to make her feel special, so I was listening for hints. So we were shopping. We're walking by Tiffany's, and she stops me in front of the window. And she goes, Brenton, ever since I was a little girl, I've always wanted something from Tiffany's. I don't even care what I get. I just love that little blue box. I remember my dad gave my mom a necklace when I was 8. I remember how much love she felt, and I've carried that feeling with me my whole life. No, I'm not a smart man. I'm a sweet man, not a smart man. Valentine's Day was coming up, and I heard, hey, Brenton, I really want a Tiffany's box. That's what I heard. And guess what, you guys? If you walk into a Tiffany's and you ask them for a box, they give you just the box. They don't even charge you. They're just like, here, good luck never getting laid ever again. I went home happy with an empty box. I wrapped it. I swear to God, my biggest regret after I wrapped it was, I should have gotten her a second box to put her box in because that reveal is going to be crazy. I thought I killed it. I don't know if you've ever ruined someone's childhood dreams before, but they go through the stages of grief like someone in their family died. Because she opened it, she's going, what is this? Like, did it fall out? I know you're a comic. Is this a joke? It's not funny. And I was like, no, I got you the box, just like you said. She got confused. She was angry. She started crying at one point. But this is how I know she's my soulmate. She started laughing at me, and she kept the box. She's had it for over 4 years now. She keeps that box on her vanity. The vanity is on my side of the bed. I sleep on my right side. That box is eye level. Last thing I see at night, first thing I see in the morning. But now when I screw up, she's just like, hey, Brenton, that's not a big deal. Let's just take that mistake. Let's put it in the box because there's plenty of fucking room. Well, thank you, guys.
I love that. It's so okay. So that's a story. I imagine a lot of it's true.
It's pretty much true. Yes.
Yeah. Tell me about that. So, first of all, how personal do you think comedy should be? And second of all,
I think.
Go ahead.
Well,
I'll second of all later. Yeah.
I make my comedy personal to a point where people that I'm talking about are comfortable with it. Like,
Yeah.
I have a lot of jokes. She's now my wife, so I did get her something to put in the box.
Thank God.
Should say that. But you know, I go over anytime I have a joke about her, I go over it with her, and she actually helps me write tags, and she's really funny herself.
Yeah.
She went to UC Irvine. She's a trained actress,
Yeah.
so she showed me a lot with like stage performance. She would watch a lot of my sets, especially early on, and she'd give me pointers like, "Oh, you should stand like this. You should do this. Don't do this with your hand." So I do get very personal with a lot of my stuff, but I make sure that the people that I'm talking about in my life are fine with me talking about it. Otherwise, you know, I'm not going to do it.
What about your audience? So recently, so there's been a lot of talk about cancel culture and these things, you know, that like we can't say anything anymore. A lot of comedians are like really upset about that. And I think one of the things is it goes back to just like your discipline and how good you are. If you can make people laugh and you're not mean spirited, it's probably okay. But I just read a quote or heard a quote from John Malkovich recently, and he said, you know, people are upset about theater performances triggering them. And he said, you know what? Theater is there to trigger. Like it is there to, you know, challenge you, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think comedy has that aspect as well, where there's something that, you know, maybe sometimes we have to allow ourselves to be a little triggered? You know?
Absolutely. But the two sides of the coin, one, I don't think cancel culture is necessarily real, especially in stand-up. I think, you know, certain comics are either doing lazy material and pissing off groups, or, you know, you look at Dave Chappelle just had a show canceled at a theater a couple days ago in Minneapolis. Like a few hours before, they moved the show down the street and it's still sold out. Like,
oh, is that what they ended up doing? Oh, that's
yeah,
a
they moved
shame
it
because
right
they
down
were
the
going to.
street.
He was performing in the place where they shot Purple Rain, you know, and it's just. I mean, Prince. He was offensive sometimes, and he was actually, you know, a very upstanding citizen, but he was provocative.
I don't think cancel culture is necessarily real. I think there are some valid arguments that some comedians do lazy old recycled material, and you have to be, if you want to be a comic, you have to be cutting edge, so you have to work harder. But, you know, I think comedians, there was a point where we all started to think we were these grand philosophers and we were the arbiters of truth, and we got on our soapboxes, and we're not. At the end of the day, we tell fart jokes to drunk people. And
it's true. I think you might be right. There's a little bit
if you put yourself out there like that, you're an easy target to take down.
There's a little bit of an onus on the comedians as well for like saying that they're like the philosophers. Or remember Jon Stewart used to do his show and would always say, you know, whenever people gave him shit about it, he would say, well, I'm a comedian, I'm not a newscaster. But you're kind of playing a newscaster. And a lot of people are getting their news from it. So your responsibility changes when you change it. So then maybe your responsibility to be to present the news becomes part of your job if you've decided to position yourself like that. That's a really good point.
Joe Rogan is the poster child of that, because obviously he takes a lot of flack, and he tries to make the argument, well, I'm just a dummy doing this podcast with comedians. I'm not. Right. And it's like, no, dude, you're having these deep philosophical arguments.
Yeah, it's not stand up.
And you have such a large audience. You have a responsibility to at least make sure that what you're saying is touching the truth.
I like that.
So we kind of did it to ourselves. Unless you're, you know, Brian Regan or Jim Gaffigan, just completely staying in your lane, you're setting yourself up. If you talk about anything where you're criticizing, you have to be ready for the argument against you.
Yeah. Well, everybody wants to be, like Bilo says here, everybody wants to be George Carlin too, because George Carlin had that ability to do a little bit of preaching and do a little bit of, you know, have a really strong point of view and do comedy at the same time.
George Carlin attacked both sides. He attacked everything. And you could have someone from the far right or the far left play the same clip and make it seem like he was arguing for them when really he was arguing for nobody.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he was brilliant. And too many comedians now, they are clearly one side or the other.
Exactly. Well, that's always our problem these days is sides. We're going to have to get over that somehow. This idea of sides, like we're all in some kind of team and somebody's winning and somebody's losing. Yeah. Chuck said something here. He said, we love it when smart people act dumb. That's kind of an interesting thing because that is a comedy. It's kind of one of the tools of a comedian is the blind spot where you know something, but you're acting like you don't know it. Maybe you're not like the sexiest guy in the world, but you go out on stage saying how sexy you are.
Yeah.
And, or even the box, the blue box story, like it's a little bit like you're playing dumb a little bit, which is great. You know what else I've noticed in your comedy?
I am
go ahead.
dumb. I did do that.
I
did do that. I am dumb.
No, I believe it. I totally believe that.
I'm an airhead with so many different things, and I've screwed up so many times.
God, yeah. Haven't we all?
I don't think. I act, I don't think.
Well, you were a trombone player, right? For 4 years.
Yeah.
So you're obviously a little bit naive if you thought that was going to be a big career for you. You mentioned that you love movie soundtracks, which I find very interesting. I'm like, what are your interests? And you're like, I love movie soundtracks. And how does that play in your life? Do you like just listen to them and when you're walking around, or do you just?
Oh yeah, I mean, this is a therapy show. If you want to relax, put on a score. And what's great about it is like people don't realize how important music is to film. Like I love movies, but it's the music that creates the emotion. And you're going to connect to so many different things because you hear a song and it's just going to bring back a great memory. It's just super relaxing. I like to listen to it when I write. It's great background noise. And it's just, it really helps me.
I love
if I'm stressed out, just kind of come down. But
sometimes as we get older, we like when I was younger and I would hear a song, it was the soundtrack to my life going on. Because maybe you're the center of the universe or something, but you really feel like, oh, this song was written for me. It's appeared at this particular moment. And now it is lifting me along in my journey. And, and then as you get older, you're just like, oh, that song again, you kind of lose that connection. So I think it's really good to have it. I prepared a little quiz for you. I hope that you will engage with me and humor us with a little quiz. You're a gambling man, right?
I am, yeah.
Can you just tell us a little bit about that? Are you doing FanDuel? Is this true? Is this a real thing?
It's DraftKings. It's a real thing. So I co-host a sports gambling podcast with Steve Ranazizi, who was on The League on FX. And I had been playing fantasy football. It was like my obsession outside of comedy for 7-8 years. Like I was obsessed, and I would do all this research. I would dig into the numbers. I would know every fourth string player on every team.
Really?
And I loved it. And I would just play in like the Comedy Store had a comics league, and I'd play in these random home leagues. And
just a passion.
So Steve started this. Yeah, Steve started this podcast. He's like, sports gambling is going to be legalized federally in the next few years. It's going to become a huge multi-billion-dollar industry. Let's do this podcast and see if we can generate some interest. And I'd never gambled a penny in my life before that. Mm-hmm. And we would do these parlays. We would pick teams, and I suck at that. I can tell you how many yards somebody's going to have receiving, but I can't tell you if their team's going to win or lose that game. And I would lose every week, and he would just mock me. So just on a whim, I signed up for DraftKings. And I was like, I want to win some money doing daily fantasy football. And then I'll be able to go, well, yeah, I lost that bet. Check this out. And 2 weeks after I signed up, I won my first $1 million.
You won $1 million? You won $1 million.
Yeah.
I thought that was an exaggeration in your stand-up, but you actually won $1 million.
No, that's
awesome.
I actually won it, and then I followed it up with a bunch of other 5, and I had a couple of 6-figure victories over the next few years. And I did finally hit a crazy parlay. I hit a 9-leg parlay last year, picking teams. So I was finally able to do that. But yeah, it's as far as side hustles, it's a very fun side hustle to have because I love watching football. I've been a diehard Bills fan forever, and
Oh, well, that last
you
year was
know,
pretty good for you guys then.
yeah, and
For a
this year's
change.
looking very good.
And so what do you think about the Seahawks? What's going to happen with them? I mean, what the hell, man?
Are you a Seahawks fan?
Yes.
Okay,
Now I'm
so
like, oh God, what are we going to do?
you're going to rebuild. Pete Carroll, he's going to need to retire at some point. Drew Lock is not going to do much of anything, so
You think we'll stay with Drew Lock?
No, I don't think you're going to get Jimmy Garoppolo because he would have already
Something would
made
have
that
happened
move.
by now. Yeah.
You're going to draft somebody next year. You'd be stupid to get Garoppolo at this point. Just take this season as a loss to get a better draft pick. Get one of the good quarterbacks next year and try to rebuild from that. But you have a decent offensive line. You just drafted a good rookie.
Now we have a decent offensive line after we lost Russell.
Yeah. You're going to be a few years away, but you'll come back.
I like it. I like it. I went to the very first Seahawks game, so I've been through some hell with the Seahawks, and I know they'll come back.
Won. You won a Super
definitely
Bowl.
won. Oh, it's great. I'm totally grateful. Completely grateful.
I was looking at because Kyler Murray just signed that massive contract. Was it yesterday or the day before?
Mm-hmm.
So he signs this huge contract, and he's taking up like 20% of the team's salary cap, and that's a mistake. I think in this day and age you have to win with a quarterback on his rookie deal. So you can bring in other great players. Like Tom Brady wasn't great because he was the best quarterback. He's a very good quarterback, but he was great because he always played under his market value, and he never made more than $12 million in a season. Mm-hmm. So they were able to build defenses around him. They were able to bring in players on offense. When Russell Wilson won the Super Bowl with the Seahawks, you know what he made that year?
$300,000.
$680,000.
Yeah, he was brand new. I mean, I know it's beautiful. That's the sweet spot, I guess. Look at this.
You're going to get one of those good guys, one of those young guys.
This is my wife. She says, I think we need to shift to the LA team. Can you believe that she would even say such a thing? That we would shift?
Which one?
She's talking Rams. She's talking Rams. Of course. Because,
two of them now for no reason.
I know. Why? I don't know. They were perfectly fine. Well, it's because San Diego wouldn't buy the Chargers a new stadium. Yeah. Let's face it. All right, let's get into the contest. Let's just see a couple more comments here. Yeah. Beast mode up the middle. TD Super Bowl champs where Pete passed over the middle, breaking on
maybe
young
the
Joel
worst
Marshall's
play call
heart.
in the history of football.
I will never forget that moment. But you know what? I got to let it go. Matt says, my brother is the director of fields for the Seahawks. Most wasted familial connection ever. I think you are supposed to do a touchdown. Yeah, see, it's just totally wasted. You got to get me some tickets, especially now for the building year. All right, let's get on with this thing. Enough football talk. We are going to have a contest. It's going to start with a little music trivia, and then it's going to go right into this really interesting thing that is all about soundtracks. All right, here we go. Okay, now we're here we are. This is the contest area of the show. Up in the kind of middle area there, you'll see that's where the contest is going to be happening. Above you, that's where the chat room is. You're competing against the chat room for this first portion, but everybody's going to be surprised because they've never seen a contest like the one we're going to have after the music trivia. So get ready for that. Here we go. This is called DJ Baby Blas. This is Blas Lorenzo put this first part together. He is a genius, a musical genius DJ. And this is music trivia. I hope you're not intimidated. Here we go. What happens is you get 4 choices. The question is, who wrote the song Irreplaceable, which was performed by Beyonce?
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
I'm going to say Bruno Mars. I have no idea.
You're going to say Bruno Mars. It looks like player 1 in the chat room is saying Bruno Mars. Just Jay is saying Neo. And Camel is saying Bruno Mars. All right, so we've got, what happens is tie goes to you because there's no other way to solve this problem unless somebody comes up with a new way. All right, so let's see. So what's going to happen is the ones that it aren't, the ones that are not the answer will disappear. It aren't. Okay, there goes that one. Bruno Mars is still there. You choosing Bruno Mars, right?
I'm going Bruno Mars.
Oh, there he goes.
Ah.
Oh, no. And babyface Neo. Now, we'll hear a little trivia about that. It's his biggest hit song to date. Irreplaceable. All right, so I guess, well, I got to get the ref in here just a sec. Let me see if I can get the ref to tell me what's happening here, how this works.
Well, according to where we're at right now,
the umpire, yeah.
He gave his answer and it was incorrect.
Yeah.
And no one in the hummingbirds got the correct answer.
Well, just Jay.
CeeLo.
Just Jay. And CeeLo, yeah.
CeeLo did. So it's hummingbirds won.
All right, thanks, Ralph. Appreciate that. All right, let's get on to the next one here. Who wrote the song "I Will Always Love You"? Famous song from The Bodyguard. This is actually a soundtrack, so this is right up your alley. Paul Anka, Dolly Parton, Whitney Houston, or Aretha Franklin?
Paul Anka.
Paul Anka, that's a pretty good guess. We'll see what the old chat room says here. I'm going to get maybe some music playing here. Whitney Houston, just Jay says Dolly Parton. She's in Kansas, so she's probably a little more Dolly Parton centric than the rest of us are. Dolly, there's a lot of people saying Dolly. Wow, okay.
Hummingbirds are smart, man. If I was them, I would just go, hey, I'm going to guess whatever people aren't guessing, and we're going to get it right.
Every single one, yeah. Oh, you got it. You already understand how this works. All right, let's see who it is. Drum roll, please. Okay, yeah. I like that sound. I like your. Let's see, Paul Anka. No, and that was your choice.
God.
Just right off the bat. Oh no. Oh no! It's down to Dolly Parton and Aretha Franklin, and the winner is Dolly Parton.
Dolly.
Wow! All right. Okay, we got to get to the next one here because after this part, it's going to be really interesting. Dolly Parton wrote and recorded that song in 1973. Whitney Houston was only 9 years old.
Wow.
Yep. Whitney Houston sang it.
And
of course.
I wasn't even a thought yet.
You weren't even a thought.
Nothing.
Nothing. It was nothing. Okay, who starred in the movie? That's Bloss over there in the umpire position.
You were a blue box.
He was a blue box. Yeah, he was only a blue box. He wasn't even a ring yet.
Blue box.
Who starred in the movie Adventures in Babysitting? Have you seen this movie?
Never heard of it.
Oh, you got to see it. It's a good one. Let's see. Okay, so Winona Ryder. You're gonna have to guess. Winona Ryder, Drew Barrymore, Elizabeth Shue, Molly Ringwald.
I'll go Elizabeth Shue.
Elizabeth Shue. All right. The guesses in the chat room seem to be Elizabeth Shue as well. Of course, tie goes to the runner. There's a Molly Ringwald in there. All right, here we go. Winona Ryder, no. Molly Ringwald, no. And the winner is... Maybe you should do the ones where you have never seen the movie before. Maybe you have better.
I've never even heard of that movie. How old is that movie?
It's got to be 80s. 80s?
Yeah, it's 80s.
It's a good one though.
Read the rest of the
unexpectedly good. Elizabeth Shue went on to star in Cocktails with Tom Cruise and Back to the Future 2 and 3 with Michael J. Fox. I know, when I read that, I was like, she wasn't in Back to the Future, but I guess the sequels.
You got to see that movie, Brent.
Yeah, you got to see it.
You're going to like it.
All right, here's another one. Who produced a hit song with Kanye West and Pharrell Williams? Pharrell.
He got a point.
Pharrell.
Got a point.
Trackmasters, DJ Khaled. Is it Khaled? See, this is how out of it I am. Khaled. Daft Punk, Smithereens, Bruno Mars, and D. Miles.
It would be Daft Punk.
It's going to be Daft Punk. I like the Daft Punk. They're fun. Anybody who wears helmets all the time is
They have their best music. They composed the score to the new Tron movie, and that is a ridiculously good soundtrack.
Apparently, the soundtrack did better than the movie.
Yeah,
the sequel to Tron, or
movies, whatever, but the soundtrack, my God,
that's what
so
I
good.
hear. And Daft Punk, they're French, right? French guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty interesting. Let's see. You seem to know it's going to be Daft Punk. And it is! Yes! Yay! All right.
Nice.
That was nice. It's good.
He's making a comeback.
He is making a comeback. It's 2-2. But are we... I don't even know if we're into the second portion here. Let's see. Oh, I missed the whole trivia thing at the bottom. But okay, Four Seasons, lead singer. This is going to be maybe for the tie or for the win. Let's see. Let me see. Yeah. No, I can't see. All right. Four Seasons lead singer was Frankie Avalon, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Frankie Valli, or Weird Al Yankovic.
Frankie Valli.
Frankie Valli. Interesting. Let's see what chat room says. Valley. There's a lot of Valley people here.
Someone's got to mix it up in case we're all wrong.
I know exactly. If I were, I'd be like Weird Al Yankovic, Frankie Avalon. I think people are pretty sure of this one. Frankie Goes to Hollywood. No. Can you sing the Frankie Goes to Hollywood song? Relax.
Oh, I don't
sing. Do it. You don't sing.
Oh,
you don't sing. Oh, look out.
I do not.
You're going to be singing.
I am not a triple threat.
Frankie Valli. There it is. Well, it's going to be interesting then. Frankie Valli sang Can't Take My Eyes Off of You. And it was a hit without the Four Seasons. Okay. All right. One more. Which band did Henry Rollins play with? Do you know who Henry Rollins is? You don't have to. You played the trombone, so you're
I
kind
know
of
of him.
Yeah? You know of him?
It's a little before my time, but he's a lot of comedians have him on their podcasts.
Oh, he's super
like
cool.
Dude, but
he's like
Black
you.
Flag, right?
Oh, Black Flag. Okay, you got to guess. Okay.
Super cool guy.
I want to tell you about Rollins. You might want to check him out too. He's like you. He's totally like clean of the drugs or anything. He doesn't do any kind of drugs, but he acts like he does a lot of them. Just like you.
He's excited. He's excited.
All right. So people are saying
Super
Black
cool cat.
Flag, State of Alert, Black Flag, Wild Man, State of Alert. Was Matt Wright still here? He would know about this. He's a punk rock aficionado. All right. This is gonna be surprising. It's gonna be surprising. All of the above. Can you believe it? Nobody said all of the above. Ref, how are you going to score that one?
It wasn't an option.
I know. It's totally unfair. I don't know, Bloss. I'm blaming that on Bloss.
Wait, what are you talking about? It's there. It's right there.
It's right there. What do you mean it wasn't there? It was totally there. Rewind the podcast. You'll see. You'll see. It's always been there. All right. Well, okay. All right. Punk rock to hard rock to all rock. Yeah.
Dude,
okay.
He's a jam in Orange County like nobody's business, dude.
That has been Baby Blast Music Trivia. Okay, since you say that you don't sing, this is going to be difficult. This is not even a competition between you and the hummingbirds. And you maybe you hum a little. This is hum that soundtrack. So I'm going to show you a movie poster, and you're going to hum the soundtrack. Do you think you can do that?
Unless I haven't seen the movie, then absolutely.
How about this one?
So the guy who wrote this song, he came in to the podcast studio and gave a great interview. I forget which podcast it was on now. He did, but he was super cool. Really good guy.
Ray Parker Jr.
Yeah. That was good. Okay, so you got that first one. That's good. Yeah, maybe someday we will have him on this show. How about this one?
So favorite composer of all time is John Williams.
All right.
See him every year at the Hollywood Bowl.
Yes.
This score is one of the most brilliant because it's just a couple of notes and it's the most terrifying thing ever. Just da 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 da.
Isn't that crazy? I'm
Two
getting
notes.
scared right now.
Yeah, 2 notes.
I am so terrified by this. I think this is the scariest horror movie ever made because it changed. I always say this. It changed our behavior. Like a lot of us just didn't even go out swimming in the ocean ever again after this.
Terrified.
Yeah,
Terrified.
so scary.
Can I share a little note real quick?
Okay, ref.
I
Yes.
saw that movie in the Philippines.
You did.
It was a movie theater full of Filipinos who could barely speak English. Well, actually, it's English is the second language. And that theater went bananas wild. It
Did
was
they?
the greatest thing that ever happened. And imagine all those Filipinos afraid to get in the ocean.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. It's
It was
terrible.
great.
All right, Empire Strikes Back.
sorry,
Do you
continue.
know another John Williams, perhaps?
Well, which from that? I mean, you got Yoda's theme, you got Leia's theme. You got
That's
the
what I
Imperial
like to
March.
hear. You are. I was
And-
thinking Darth Vader's theme.
I love
Since
it.
it's
Imperial
Empire
March.
Strikes Back. Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah. John Williams, I mean, is brilliant. Let's face it, it's brilliant.
He's our Mozart.
He really is.
Yes, he
Here's
is.
one from way, way back. I don't know.
Haven't seen it. I'm sorry.
I can't even say that I've seen the whole thing either. I think I have.
Quote a famous line. Quote the famous line.
Do you know the famous line? got
Is
some
this
movie
the,
watching
frankly, I don't give a damn.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Yes,
Yeah,
that was
I've never
excellent.
seen it. That's the one thing I wish I could get into older movies.
Yeah.
I wish I could go back and watch films.
don't
from
let
the
you in
40s and
'cause you're too
50s.
young? Too
I
young?
just can't get into it. I can't
Yeah.
get into it.
I know.
Is it the pacing?
I think it's just a little bit of everything. It's too dated.
You know what's great about old movies? Is you can go in there and steal scenes and just write them and say that they're yours because nobody's ever seen it. You just totally plagiarize. It's completely easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
All right.
love
How
that.
about this one? This is another one where it's just a few notes. Affects you.
Bum.
Oh man, you're good at this. You're good at
I mean,
this.
it's all John Williams.
I know there's a lot of
Yeah,
John
it
Williams
is.
in this thing because he's so,
It
so
is.
good. All right, we're gonna be. How about this? Do you know this one? Westworld, HBO. It's not
you
a
know
movie.
what? I watched the first season and it confused the hell out of me because I'm
Yeah.
dumb and I stopped watching it. So I don't remember how the music goes.
Blas, do you know it? Referee.
No. Nobody knows.
Dun, 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 dun. If you watch the show, you'd know it. Dun, dun. Let me show you this real quick. Cybertronic
It's the
Spree.
original West. It's from the original West.
It's from this is Cybertronic Spree. Have you heard of this band? They dress up like Transformers and they perform music. And they happen to perform this theme song. Yeah. These people.
Yeah, I mean this is a killer song, but
Yeah.
the show was it was too confusing and I had no idea what was going on. And I don't like to feel dumb.
I hear you. I don't like to feel dumb on
You know
stage.
what? Brenton, go watch the original.
Watch the original Westworld
Watch
movie
the original.
with Yul Brynner. Anyway, you gotta admit it's a great theme song. It's a very good one.
Oh yeah.
It's funny because they kind of anyway. Those people, doodaloo, doodaloo, doodaloo. Anyway, that's the whole thing. We're gonna have to end off pretty soon because it's on the hour. But
Hey,
how about
he
this
did
one?
very well. Very well.
Yeah, he did very well.
Good
And
job,
now I've got a bunch of TV
Good job,
shows.
You know what's terrible?
What? You've never seen
I've
it,
never watched Curb Your. No, I just haven't watched. I haven't watched Seinfeld either.
dude. You have to
I know
watch
that's
that. I'm
sacrilegious as a
like that
comedian.
too,
I've
though.
never watched either of those shows.
People always quote Seinfeld to me, and I'm like, nah, I didn't see it. It's terrible.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
I haven't seen it.
Uh,
Haven't watched
You-
The
when
you're
Office.
his
I don't
age,
watch
you
a
can-
lot of TV,
You don't?
honestly.
Because
Yeah,
you're
any
in
of the-
nightclubs every night of the week. How could you be home watching
Working.
TV?
Yeah.
It's working it, dude. How about this one? Halloween. Have you seen that movie?
I don't like scary movies.
Oh, I don't
Like
either,
horror?
but this is super scary. The theme song, do you know it, Blas?
nope. Nobody knows it.
Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah,
dun,
yeah,
dun,
yeah.
dun,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's scary, man. You can scare people with music. So I do it all the time.
Oh
I
my
scare
God.
people.
When I
Okay,
lived
what?
in Hollywood, I lived 2 streets over from the Nightmare on Elm Street house, and I used to walk my dog by it, and there were always people out front taking pictures, and it was creepy as hell, man.
You can hear stuff when you walk past that house.
You know, I want to point out, and I'm terrible with the chat room because I'm trying to keep everything going on, but Matt Wright did get the Black Flag Henry Rollins thing.
Oh, he did.
Trick question, all 3.
Well,
Matt,
good for
of
you,
course.
Matt Wright.
Matt Wright is a famous punk rocker, so I expected him
Yeah,
to
Matt
get it.
knows his business.
He knows his own business. All right. So, okay, one more, and then we'll cut it out. Cut this out.
Everyone knows the James Bond.
This is one of my favorite. This is my favorite James Bond theme song for sure. I mean, obviously, it's the name of it, but yeah, live and let die.
Yeah. Who wrote that? Who sang
It's
that?
Wings, Paul McCartney and Wings, right?
Yeah, that's right.
You know, Wings is very, very. What do they say?
Underrated.
Underappreciated.
Yeah.
You know, go to your
They are.
iTunes or whatever, pull up Wings, Paul McCartney and Wings. Great songs. Great songs.
Band on the Run.
Band on the Run. Yeah.
Awesome.
I love you. Do-do-do-do.
Thinking about.
Anyway, yeah, okay. So let's get. So thanks so much for being on the show, Brenton, and thank you
Yeah,
for
thanks
being
for having me.
such a sport and playing these sports with us because we really enjoy that. And also, thanks for your insights into the comedy world. I hope that you'll come back sometime.
Yeah, man.
All right, man. We're gonna end the show. What we do is I play a YouTube performer playing a cover song. We already played Cybertronic Spree, but this is his name is Fernando Ufret. He's a favorite of the show, and he's playing Down Under by Men at Work. Do you know the song? Yes, I love this. You know what? It's great.
You're exposing me to all
because
this
I'm
new stuff I gotta
exposing
look
you.
up.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see what the chat room saying. Good guess, Brenton. Yeah, everybody really like. Please share this around because there's so much information for like people that maybe are like just starting out in comedy, and this is.
Yeah, I'm always down to talk comedy with anyone who hits me up, and especially am down to talk fantasy football. If your team sucks, I can help you fix it.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that. I'm gonna need some more help on mine. All right, here we go. Dance break. There he is. This is Fernando. Have you ever seen this guy? He's
No.
good. He's got a channel.
It's good.
Fernando Ufret. Thanks everybody for being here today. Friday Ice. Fernando Fernie, we have a name for him now. So this is a song from the 80s about Australia.
He's got a good voice.
Oh, doesn't he though? That's so good. This is one of his earlier ones too. Guitar too. Do you play anything but the trombone?
No, I tried to teach myself keyboard and I gave up. Just trombone.
Trombone's good. I played the French horn.
So, I mean, I guess I played recorder in 5th grade if that counts.
That counts. All right. Everybody, if they need to check out your podcast, where do they go? Anywhere?
What's the odds on All Things Comedy? It's available on all the platforms. And then I'm on social media at BB Combs. And if you follow All Things Comedy, follow the Hollywood Improv. Come see a show. Go support live comedy.
If we want to see you live, where do we see your dates?
I post everything on my Instagram.
All right, kids. See you all next week. This has been Lunch Therapy number, I don't know, 370? All right, see you later. Bye.